And tell me, what are the types of fiction we've learned so far? What are the types? We've learned 4. We named 3 of them yesterday. Can you name the one we learned yesterday? Ali.
Myth.
Myths. Okay. What are some of the other ones? Emily.
Fable.
Fable. Bella.
Fairy tales.
Fairy tales. One last one. Aiden.
Tales.
Fables.
I said folk tales.
Oh, folk tales. Yes, folk tales. Folk tales. All right. So now we are going to learn about what is called a legend. Okay, we're going to learn about what is called a legend.
Ooh.
Before we do our read aloud, you know that I like to name the characteristics of the type of fiction first. Okay, we're going to name the characteristics of the type of fiction first. So then when we read the book, we can go back and say, all right, do these characteristics match the book? So let's look at the characteristics of legends. Characteristics of legends. So, a legend is based on the life of a real person. So that's a little different than stuff we've been reading, okay? Than the other types of fiction fiction that we've been reading, okay? So a legend is based on the life of a real person. So some of the characteristics are, we have exaggerated, okay? So that means like a lot or over the top characters or events, okay? So we kind of have over the top characters. So we have these characters that kind of sometimes can be a little crazy or a little over the top, and they act very, oh, I need something to be this way. I need it to be this way. Yes, Aiden, quickly.
When you said religions, you said these are based on real people.
Uh-huh.
I was going to tell you, you could put on real characters.
Mm-hmm. So it also focuses on individuals and their accomplishments, okay? So it kind of focuses on what someone has done. It's focused on what somebody has done. It's kind of saying, okay, we want to see, because it's based off a real person. So it's focusing on what this person has accomplished, what they've kind of completed in their life. So legends definitely have way less characteristics than most, because we'll have one more left. So we're going to say stories that are linked to a historical, make sure you're muted, time or event. Okay? Aiden, please mute yourself. Stories that are linked to a historical time or event. Okay? Linked to a historical time or event. And then our last one that we said at the beginning was based on the life of a real person. So a legend is a little bit different, okay? Aiden, you're unmuted again. A legend is a little bit different than all the other stories we have read, okay? The characteristics for a legend, as you can see, we only have 4. So it has to be very specific to be a legend. It has to have these to be one. But also, all the characteristics are pretty long and they're pretty specific, right? So it has to have something they've accomplished. It has to be based on the life of a real person. It has to be linked to a historical event. The characters have to be over the top, okay? Or the story has to be over the top. So this is something that we have to make sure when we're looking at legends that's really important, is that we look at, does it match these characteristics very specifically, okay? Y'all know when I use that word, specifically, that means that it has to be exactly the same. All right, so now we're going to go to read aloud, and we are going to read our legend for today. It is called The Legend of the Bluebonnet. The Legend of the Bluebonnet. Who knows what's a bluebonnet? Can someone tell me? Why do you know what a bluebonnet is? Emily, why would you know what a bluebonnet is?
It's like, I can't think of a word.
Okay.
It's one of the, it's the main flower of Texas.
Yes, it is the state flower of Texas. Correct. It is the state flower of Texas. And can anybody tell me? We'll do thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Can you pick bluebonnets? Can you?
No, it's illegal.
Oh, thumbs up, thumbs down. Can you pick bluebonnets? Good. Lots of thumbs down. So it is actually legal in Texas to pick bluebonnets.
Only if they grow in your garden, then yeah.
Yes. Correct. Yes, Dimitri, quick. So we can read our story.
I'm almost finished with the characteristics of legend. May I show it again?
Oh, Dimitri, it's okay. You don't have to write them down. We'll write them down in a second.
Okay.
Okay, we'll write them down in a second. All right, so this is the Legend of the Bluebonnets. Legend of the Bluebonnets. All right. Great spirits, the land is dying. Your people are dying too. The long line of dancers sang, tell us what we have done to anger you. End this drought. Save your people. Tell us what we must do so you will send the rain that will bring back life. For 3 days, the dancers danced to the sound of the drums, and for 3 days, the people called Comanche watched and waited. And even though the hard winter was over, no healing rains came. So could I already give this as my exaggerated character or event, kind of over the top, right? Could I already count that? Because think about it. They're saying no rain has come for like 3 or 4 months, right? So are we already like, oh, wow, this is kind of like a big deal. Like this is really over the top, right? So we can already kind of say that. Good. I have lots of thumbs up. Drought and famine are hardest on the very young and the very old. Among the few children left was a small girl named She Who Is Alone. She sat by herself watching the dancers. In her lap was a doll made from buckskin, a warrior doll. The eyes, nose, and mouth were painted on with the juice of berries. It wore beaded leggings and a belt of polished bone. On its head were brilliant blue feathers. From the bird who cries, Jane, Jane, Jane. She loved her doll very much. Soon She Who Is Alone said to her doll, the shaman will go off alone to the top of the hill to listen for the words of the great spirits. Then we will know what to do, so that once more the rain will come and the earth will be green and alive. The buffalo will be plenty and the people will be rich again." As she talked, she thought of the mother who made the doll, of the father who brought the blue feathers. She thought of the grandfather and the grandmother she had never known. They were all like shadows. It seemed long ago that they had died from the famine. The people had named her and cared for her. The warrior doll was the only thing she had left from those distant days. "The sun is setting," the runner called as he ran through the camp. "The shaman is returning." The people gathered in a circle and the shaman spoke. "I have heard the words of the great spirits," he said. "The people have become selfish. For years they have taken from the earth without giving anything back. The great spirits say the people must sacrifice. We must make a burnt offering of the most valued possession among us. The ashes of this offering shall be scattered to the 4 points of the earth, the home of the winds. When the sacrifice is made, drought and famine will cease. Life will be restored to the earth and to the people." The people sang a song of thanks to the great spirits for telling them what they must do. "I am sure it is not my new bow that the great spirit wants," a warrior said. "Or my special blanket," a woman added. As everyone went to their teepees to talk and think over what the great spirits had asked. Everyone, that is, except she who is alone. She held her doll tightly to her heart. "You," she said, looking at the doll, "you are my most valued possession. It is you the great spirits want," and she knew what she must do. As the council fire died out and the teepee flaps began to close, the small girl returned to the teepee where she slept, to wait. The night outside was still, except for the distant sound of the night bird with the red wings. Soon everyone in the teepee was asleep, except she who is alone. Under the ashes of the teepee fire, one stick still glowed. She took it and quietly crept out into the night. She ran to the place on the hill where the great spirits had spoken to the shaman. Stars filled the sky, but there was no moon. "Oh, great spirits," she who is alone said, "here is my warrior doll. It is the only thing I have from my family who died in this famine. It is my most valued possession. Please accept it." Then, gathering twigs, she started a fire with the glowing fire stick. The small girl watched as the twigs began to catch and burn. She thought of her grandmother and grandfather, her mother and father, and all the people, their suffering, their hunger, and before she could change her mind, she thrust the doll into the fire. She watched until the flames died down and the ashes had grown cold. Then, scooping up a handful, she who is alone scattered the ashes to the home of the winds, the north and the east, the south and the west. And there she fell asleep until the first light of the morning she woke her. She looked out over the hill, and stretching out from all sides where the ashes had fallen, the ground was covered with flowers, beautiful flowers, as blue as the feathers in the hair of her doll, as blue as the feathers of the bird who cries, "Jay, Jay, Jay." When the people came out of their teepees, they could scarcely believe their eyes. They gathered on the hill with she who is alone to look at the miraculous sight. There was no doubt about it. The flowers were a sign of forgiveness from the great spirits. And as the people sang and danced their thanks to the great spirits, a warm rain began to fall, and the land began to live again. From that day on, the little girl was known by another name, the one who dearly loved her people. And every spring, the great spirits remember the sacrifice of a little girl and fill the hills and valleys of the land now called Texas with beautiful blue flowers, even to this very day, which is true. There is a bluebonnet season. The end. All right, so let's look at our characteristics. So I like that story. I think it's really good. It's very different than what we're used to, but it's good. So over the top, exaggerated characters or events, thumbs up, thumbs down. Over exaggerated, over the top characters or events. Definitely thumbs up, right? Because we talked about that, the famine and the fact that it hadn't rained for like 4 or 5 months, and that is definitely over the top. What about focuses on individuals and their accomplishments? Did this story focus on one person? It did, right? It focused on the girl who lived alone, right? It kind of focused on her people or her tribe, right? Because it was Native American, so it kind of focused on her people or her tribe. But it mostly focused on how she sacrificed her doll in order for the people to have rain and to get the land back, right? So what about stories that are linked to a historical time or event? Thumbs up, thumbs down. I have some thumbs up. Think about this last page right here. When it says, and every spring, the great spirits remember the sacrifice of a little girl, in the hills and the valleys of the land now called Texas fill with a beautiful blue flower, even to this very day. So is that based on a real event, probably? It is, right? Because this is the legend of the bluebonnet. So this is how Texas got the bluebonnet. And then based on the life of a real person. So I want to say that one is true. I would have to read this whole back part though. So that is where, so this one would be one where you would kind of have to read the little author's note at the back, and it would probably tell you that it is based on a real life person. I haven't read it yet though, but I think it is based on my skimming that I'm doing. Okay, so that's the characteristics of legends. All right, so notebooks. Reading notebooks, reading notebooks, reading notebooks. Reading notebooks, reading notebooks, reading notebooks. Please and thank you. Reading notebooks, reading notebooks, reading notebooks. Please and thank you. Get out your reading notebooks. All right, so y'all know I like to put up the date on the side of my page. Y'all don't have to, but I'm gonna start by putting the date. And then I'm gonna write, so you should be writing legends, okay? Legends. Legends. So this is all about our legends. So I will tell you, legends are pretty hard to find. They are definitely very, because I told you at the beginning, they're very specific. There are not a whole lot of them that are actually written in books. A lot of them are told mostly by mouth or verbally. So we're gonna put the title. So you're gonna tell me the title of the book you read. And then we're gonna write our characteristics. All right, so I'm gonna try and condense down or like make the characteristics a little bit smaller than what I actually wrote. Okay, so we're not writing as much. So I'm going to try and do the best I can to do that, but I might not be able to do it, you know, as small as I want to. But I'm going to try and make them kind of small. So the first thing I'm going to put is based on the life of a real person. And now my pen doesn't want to work. Based on the life of a real person. Based on the life of a real person. Based on the life of a real person. We're going to say over the top. If we just put a C, will y'all know that means characters? Thumbs up. If I just put a C, will y'all know that means characters? Okay. Over the, oops, that's supposed to say top. Over the top. Characters.
Age, because we used to put that.
Oh yeah, we can put CH.
CHR.
Characters and events. We'll put CH. Characters and events. So that way y'all don't have to write out the whole word characters. Over the top, characters and events. And then we're going to say focuses on accomplishments. So remember, accomplishments means what they've done or what they've achieved or what they've completed. Focuses on accomplishments, what they've done, what they've achieved, what they've completed. And then we're going to say linked to historical time or event. Because remember, it's linked to a historical time or event. It's linked to a historical time or event. So super easy. There's only 4. But we got to remember that our 4 characteristics for legends are super specific. Our 4 characteristics for legends are super specific. So that's why there's not a whole lot of legends, because they're super specific. All right, and then the question, we're kind of have 2 questions, okay? And they're not even really going to be questions, but 2 things that I want you to look for while you're reading. So you're going to look for the characteristics, and then you're also going to look for the characters, because if you remember, since it's based on the life of a real person and it's focusing on accomplishments, there's probably only going to be one character that's going to be really important. So like in our book, obviously the one person that's really important was the girl who is alone, because she was the one that ends up sacrificing her doll. So the characters, and then I also want you to look at the setting, okay? Where is it taking place? Because that's also going to be something with a legend that's important, is looking at the setting. is saying, well, where is it taking place? Well, why is it important for me to know where it's taking place? Because like in this instance, for our Legend of the Bluebonnet, it's important to know that it's taking place outside and it's taking place in this desert and in Texas because that is where the Bluebonnet's from. And we know that because it's in a desert and because it's outside, it's affecting their food and it's affecting their water. All right, so I'm gonna let you finish writing this. I'm gonna go ahead and send in the chat the legend that you're gonna be reading, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and send in the chat the legend you're gonna be reading. I know some of you are not done yet, and it's okay if you're not done copying, okay? I just wanna go ahead and send it in the chat so those who are done can read if they're ready.
I was done before you even started.
Awesome. So here's the legend you're going to be reading. So there's only one that I could actually find on, or not find, but only one that I sent you on Epic. But if you would like to, just like yesterday, how I told you, you can go on the little search bar and type in myths. You can do the same thing with legends. If you want to type in legends in the search bar on Epic, you'll probably find some more legends. But the one I sent you is called Vivian and the Legend of the Hoodoos. Okay, it's called Vivian and the Legend of the Hoodoos.
Hoodoos are coyotes, right?
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Okay.
Actually, hoodoos are carved rocks.
I honestly, let me hear. I'll tell you real quick what it is.
Wait, is it like 2 stories or is it just one?
No, so there's only one because that's all I could find. Oh, it's a rock. Aiden was right. It's a tall, thin spear of rock. No, so there's only one because I can only find one, but that's what I said. So Aaron, if you don't want to read this one, like you start reading and you're like, ooh, I don't like this one. If you want to go on Epic and in the search bar, if you want to type in legend, you can. I just didn't find another one that I felt like everybody would like. So that's why I was going to say, if you want to find one that you think you would like better, you definitely can. I'm definitely okay with that. This is just the one that I sent you, was just the one. But like I said, you don't have to read this one. You can try and find your own. All right. Okay. So